So there are a lot of guys out there who see women every now and again that they'd love to approach and talk to, but they don't do it for so many reasons. And one of the reasons is that a guy doesn't really know what to expect. Right? How's she going to react? Are people going to be looking at me thinking I'm some sort of sleaze or weirdo? I'm hitting on her, I'm making her uncomfortable and so forth. What are people going to think? What's she going to think? How is she going to react? So as someone who has approached thousands of women, and I literally mean thousands because I not only went out and approached and picked up women for over 10 years, enjoying my choice of women, but for 3 years I took new guys out into bars and clubs every weekend and showed them how to approach women. So I literally approached thousands of women. And what I'm going to tell you in this video are 4 things to expect when you approach a woman. Number 1, 80-10-10. So 80% of the women you approach will instantly be friendly or at least be open to talking to you. 10% will need warming up before they open up and like you, and 10% won't be interested and will want to remain uninterested for certain reasons. With the last 10%, it doesn't mean that a guy can't make a woman like that feel sexually attracted. Instead, even if you do make her feel sexually attracted, she will still want to remain uninterested for certain reasons that I'll explain in a second. However, if you spend enough time with a woman like that, you could pick her up in many cases, but often it just won't be a good match for you or her. So some examples of the 10% of women who would want to remain uninterested in me are women who want a guy who's 6 foot or taller. Since I'm 5'9", she will want to automatically reject me because she wants to get herself a taller guy. Now that doesn't mean I can't pick up women who are tall or women who want a tall guy, but many women who want a tall guy will not want to become interested in me. For the record, my wife actually fell into the category of the 10% of women who needed warming up, but she also kind of leaned to the 10% who wanted to remain uninterested. My wife wanted a traditionally handsome guy who was 6 foot or taller, so she needed warming up when I first approached her. She was not immediately open and friendly. Yet, due to my ability to attract women during interactions, she felt very attracted to me and opened up. She then fell in love with me within the first day or so, chased me during the dating phase, asked me to marry her, and we've been together for over 10 years now, are in love, and have a happy family together with our twin daughters. Meaning that sometimes women who are in the 10% who need warming up, or even the 10% who want to remain uninterested, will actually be an ideal match for you, but you have to be willing to stick with the interaction rather than just giving up and thinking that you have no chance. Another type of woman who will fit into the 10% are women who only want a man from a particular religion. Sometimes, for example, with Indian people, they only want to be with the guy who comes from the Sikh religion or the Jain religion or the Hindu religion. They only want that because they want to keep that going in their family, and that's fine. I don't have to be able to get that woman. She can have a guy who is into that religion, no problem. Once again though, it doesn't mean that I can't pick up Indian women. The same goes for women of various races, right? But sometimes a woman has a particular religion that she wants to stick to and she wants her husband to be a part of. And finally, another type of woman is a woman who doesn't speak English and has no interest in trying to communicate, right? So when I went to Spain, for example, I walked into a bar by myself and walked up to 2 attractive Spanish women and I said, "Hey, how's it going, guys? What's going on? How you doing?" And they said, "¿Qué?" And then they started speaking Spanish to each other. And they sort of looked at me and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do here? And what I found in Spain is that not only do most people there not speak English, but most Spaniards have no interest in trying to speak English. They like their language, they like their culture, and they've got no interest in trying to talk to someone who speaks English. So what I did is that when I was in Spain, I got myself a tutor and I started learning some basic Spanish phrases, and that got my foot in the door. That got the girls laughing at my obviously non-native speaking Spanish, right? And they then appreciated that I was trying to speak Spanish with them, and because I was confident and I was able to stay in the interaction, I was able to pick up some women because I made it more about body language and the vibe that I was giving off. So apart from the 10% who just won't be interested, they won't have the motivation to talk to you, they won't be interested, then there's the other 10% who need a bit of warming up, and then 80% who are open and friendly right away. And the 80% are not the ugly women. In most cases, hot and pretty women are open and friendly right away, as long as you're being confident. Right? So if a guy walks over and starts talking to a woman and, she can sense his nervousness and his tenseness and she can see it on his body language and he stutters out a line like, oh, hey, how you doing, sort of thing, she's usually not going to be open and friendly to that. She's going to try to reject him by being closed off or talking to her friends because she doesn't want a guy who isn't confident. Also, with women who are hot, you can't ever expect them to show you that they're one of the 80% who are going to be open and friendly, right? Because women who are hot or pretty don't want to be giving out easy signals to guys that, hey, I'm approachable, because one, it can make her look desperate and low value. It can make guys think that there must be something wrong with her, or it can attract insecure guys, right, who think, oh, right, I might be able to get a chance with this girl, even though the guy's not confident. Then he walks over and says, oh, hi, how you going? And then she's getting those sort of guys coming over and talking to her. So what happens is that hot women and pretty women, they will keep their guard up. Right? They won't be showing that they're interested in being approached. Right? They won't be making it obvious at all. And something really interesting that happened is that when I used to take guys out to approach women every weekend, I would tell clients that some women tonight are actually going to thank us for coming over and approaching. And the client couldn't believe it. He's like, no way. There's no way that that's possible. And I would say, and it's usually going to be the hot women. And he'd be saying, no way. Right? But it was based on the conversation starter that I used, which I'm going to share with you. That is, what I would do is I would find the two hottest girls in the club, and in almost all cases, no one was talking to them. And I would wait a little bit, right, 10 minutes or so, and just make sure that no one is talking to them. And then I'd walk over and say this, hey, what's going on with you guys? You're the two hottest girls in here and no one's talking to you. What's happening? And then in almost all cases, they would say something along the lines of, yeah, I know, we've been standing here for like an hour and no one's talking to us. And they would say, thank you. Right? They'd say, thanks for coming over and talking to us. And they'd be cheersing with us, right? They'd cheers the glasses, and I'd look at my client and he'd be thinking, WTF, what is going on here? Yet prior to going over and talking to them, those pretty women were not looking around the room like, anyone want to approach us? You know, hi, we're open. They would either look closed off, they would look like they're not interested in anyone else, or they'd be talking amongst themselves and behaving as though they're not even interested in talking to anyone else. They're just having a great conversation amongst themselves. But I could tell by the subtleties of their body language that they were hoping to be approached. Another example is when I was walking in the city with a friend of mine during the day, and a beautiful model-looking woman, who turned out to be a model by the way, was walking towards me and my friend, and I said to him, look at that, she is hot. Then when she was about 5 meters away from us, I said this, hey, stop, how you doing? I was walking along and I saw you and I thought, man, if I don't say hello to you, I'm gonna be kicking myself. So, how you going? I'm Dan. We then had a quick chat, and I knew that she was in a rush to go somewhere, so I kept it quick. I got her number, I called her the next day, and we went on a date, and we started a sexual relationship. Yet she was one of the 10% who needed warming up, by the way. She wasn't immediately open and friendly. And when she was walking along, she didn't have, approach me sort of body language. She was walking along with a serious, closed off, don't talk to me sort of vibe. But that wasn't the case when I started talking to her and warmed her up. So just know that approximately 80% of the time, when you approach a woman, she will be open and friendly. She'll be nice and give you a chance to have a conversation with her, right? And 10% of the time, she'll need some warming up. And it's not always because she doesn't like you. In many cases, it's because she feels insecure. She feels nervous. She feels awkward. And with the final 10%, they just won't want to be with you for one reason or another. You're not from their religion, or she may want a gangster or a thug and you just aren't that guy. Another thing to expect when you approach women is that some women will pretend to be rejecting you initially to see how you react. So this also applies to the open and friendly women. They want to see what you're made of. Can you handle it if she seems to be losing interest when you start talking to her? Can you handle it if she's not being reassuring? When a woman isn't being reassuring all the time, most guys assume that they are literally being rejected, that she's literally losing interest, but in most cases, she's just testing his confidence and social skills. Number 3, in many cases, a woman will give you a woo, or a window of opportunity, to make a move on her, and she will be hoping that you take it. So the woman's attracted to you, you're getting along, and she's open to giving you her number, kissing you, or even going home with you. Yet if the guy isn't confident enough to make a move, for example, get her phone number, she will usually lose interest and the window will close. She will then begin playing hard to get. One of the reasons why is that women want to know that you find them attractive enough to move things forward and also have the confidence to do it. If you wait too long, she can actually start to feel like you might not like her enough, or there isn't enough of a spark between you and her to become boyfriend and girlfriend, so she then closes up. Now, the window of opportunity, or the woo, can happen within seconds, minutes, or hours, and you need to be ready to act on it. So with most of the women I picked up over the years before settling down, it usually took 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours to get to a kiss. Yet amongst that, there were so many times where I kissed a woman right away or went home with her within a couple of minutes. For example, there was a time when I was at this bar called Beach Club, and it closes at 1 a.m. and it was 12:30 a.m. I was walking through the crowd and I saw this petite, pretty woman, and I walked up to her and I said this, "There you are. Where have you been? Come here. I've been looking for you." And she played along with it and we started hugging. While I was hugging her, we were looking at each other in the eyes and smiling, and a few seconds later, we started kissing. Then, while still holding her, because we were both hugging each other, I said this to her, "Hey, so anyway, this bar's gonna close soon, so we should get out of here. Let's go somewhere." And she then said yes. We went to her place and had sex. Right? So with her, the woo, the window of opportunity, was right then and there. It was immediate. And I acted upon it because I know how to pick up women. I know what signals to look for. I'm confident enough to move in for a kiss. I know what to say to get the girl to go home with me, and so on. Yet it doesn't always happen that fast. Sometimes you'll be interacting with a woman and 20 minutes in, she starts giving you signals that she wants to kiss you. And you need to be ready at that point to move in and kiss her, because sometimes she's a sort of woman who wants a guy who's confident and brave and who isn't afraid to want her and make a move. She doesn't want to be with a guy who's hesitant and timid. She doesn't want that in the bedroom, and she doesn't want it in a relationship either. So with women like that, you need to be ready to make a move. So the time to the woo, or the window of opportunity, is always different, but you will be able to sense it, right? You'll suddenly feel like, okay, I can do something here, and you'll sense that the opportunity is there. You just then need to make a move and make something happen. Now, before I give you the fourth thing on the list to expect when you're approaching women, I just want to point out that if you want to learn my best techniques for starting conversations, immediately attracting the woman, connecting with her, and then getting to a phone number, kiss, or sex on that night, then I recommend that you read my ebook, The Flow, or listen to the audiobook version. The Flow is the easiest way to get laid or get a girlfriend, and you can take your time with it and kiss her after an hour, 2 hours, or at the end of the first date, or in some cases, at the end of the second date if you want to. But essentially, when you follow the flow process, you effortlessly flow from one step to the next with a woman. It's the easiest way to get laid or get a girlfriend. So the fourth thing to expect when you approach women is that some women will act surprised that you approached, even though they were hoping to be approached. Always remember that women know it's the man's role to approach. Women know that, but they will often act as though, "Oh, right, you're coming over and talking to me. What's happening here? I didn't even expect this." Yet she was hoping to be approached. You need to be aware of that and not be put off by it and think that, "Oh, maybe I'm interrupting her. Maybe I'm being too forward here." No. If she's single and hoping to meet a guy, she is going to be happy that you came over and talked to her. And if you're a confident guy who can display attractive traits while you're interacting with her, she's going to be excited because she's got a guy in front of her who she's feeling attracted to. And if he knows how to go from one step to the next, then they're going to start dating, having sex, and get into a relationship.